Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome FBI Director Robert S. Mueller III.
Afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry about that, particularly the Marines here, because you had to stand up. They told me that they had music to introduce the speaker by. I said, no, you got to be kidding. They said, what do you want? And I joshingly said, well, the Marine Corps hymn, hoping to stutter or to push everybody back, and lo and behold, they did it. I'm glad to be back in San Francisco. I'm glad to be back talking to this audience. I can tell you I always like to be a little bit different, and I venture to say I'm probably the only person in this room that is wearing a tie. I may well be the only person in the room who knows what a tie is. But as I say, it's good to be back in San Francisco. Recently, I read a news story about a tailor in Bogota, Colombia. A tailor who makes bulletproof menswear. He will design the garment to your specifications and line it with Kevlar sufficient to stop a bullet fired from a .38 caliber pistol at point-blank range. Some may question whether this is necessary or extravagant or both, but the world has become increasingly dangerous. This man was merely combining the need to stay safe with the desire to look good at the same time. Of course, my first thought as well was for the brave but foolish volunteer who wore these clothes during the testing phase. And my second thought, however, was that we could use this kind of ingenuity to safeguard our computer systems. In the early 1990s, we marveled at the potential of the internet. The risks seemed to be a world away, and the dangers were largely limited to teenage hackers and identity theft. But today, the power and the pervasiveness of the internet are evident in the way we communicate, the way we conduct business, and the way we learn. But the risks are no longer a distant possibility. They are right there at our doorstep, and in some cases, they are already inside the house. And unlike the Colombian tailor, we are not bulletproof, nor can we make ourselves so. But we can work together to line our networks with the equivalent of Kevlar. And we can work together to find and to stop those who are taking shots at us and to prevent future attacks. Almost 20 years ago, here in San Francisco, I read the book entitled The Cuckoo's Egg. Many of you, I'm sure, know it. It's a story of and by Cliff Stahl, a systems manager at a Berkeley laboratory. He noticed an accounting discrepancy of just 75 cents, and he ultimately tracked that discrepancy to a German espionage ring tapping into our military networks. I mentioned the story to several FBI employees to illustrate the evolution of cybercrime, asked if anybody had read the book, and one reply did, stick in my craw. A younger employee said, but looked like a smirk, I haven't read it, sir. I was only 10 when it was published. I responded, thank you for reminding me of how old I am. I'm sure you'll be very happy in the FBI's office in Yemen. It's becoming a rather large office. Ancient though it may be, the story of Cliff Stahl illustrates how far we have come and how quickly. Today, we'll talk about what the FBI is doing to investigate and prevent cybercrime, talk about the power of partnerships, touch on what we must do together to prevent cybercrime from becoming endemic to our businesses, our economy, and our national security. Let's begin with cyber threats to our national security. As you well know, a cyber attack could have the same impact as a well-placed bomb. To date, terrorists have not used the internet to launch a full-scale cyber attack, but they have executed numerous denial-of-service attacks, They have defaced numerous websites, including Congress's website following President Obama's State of the Union speech. A group known as the Iranian Cyber Army claimed responsibility for this attack, and while the damage may have been limited, such groups attack for both publicity, impact, and are becoming more adept at both. In the past 10 years, al-Qaeda's online presence has become as potent as its physical presence. Extremists are not limiting their use of the internet to recruitment or radicalization. They are using it to incite terrorism. Thousands of extremist websites promote violence to a ready and a willing audience. They are posting videos on how to build backpack bombs, bioweapons, and they are using social networking to link terrorists, plotters, and plans. Of course, the internet is not only used to plan and execute attacks. It is a target in and of itself. Osama bin Laden long ago identified cyberspace as a means to damage both our economy and our psyche, and countless extremists have taken this to heart. We in the FBI, along with our partners in the intelligence community, believe the cyber terrorism threat is real and rapidly expanding. Terrorists have shown a clear interest in pursuing hacking skills, and they will either train their own recruits or hire outsiders with an eye towards combining physical attacks with cyber attacks. Apart from the terrorist threat, nation-states may use the internet as a means of attack for political ends. Consider what took place in Estonia in 2007 and in the Republic of Georgia in 2008. Wave after wave of data requests shut down banks and emergency phone lines, gas stations, grocery stores, even parts of each country's government. The impact of these attacks left us all aware of our vulnerabilities. Let us turn for a moment to counterintelligence intrusions and economic espionage. Espionage once pitted spy versus spy, country against country. But today our adversaries sit on fiber optic cables and Wi-Fi networks often unknown and undetected. They may be nation-state actors or mercenaries for hire, rogue hackers or transnational criminal syndicates. These hackers actively target our government networks. They seek our technology, our intelligence, our intellectual property, even our military weapons and strategies. And in short, they have everything to gain, and we have a great deal to lose. There has been much discussion of late about which nation-states pose the greatest danger of cyber attack. And to a certain extent, that discussion may be irrelevant. It may not matter who the attacker is or whether the motivation is political, ideological, or financial. The information may be bought and sold by anyone, anywhere in the world, whether friend or foe. And the end result will be the same. We will lose our data, we may well lose access to our own information, and we may well lose our security. In recent years, we have witnessed a new trend, the collection of seemingly innocuous information about a company and its employees, from email addresses to PowerPoint presentations to notes from meetings. This data not only provides inside knowledge of research and development, business plans, or client negotiations, it can provide entree to a company's network. Hackers are using this data to spearfish employees, sending emails purportedly from coworkers with content often too alluring or realistic to ignore, and just one breach is all they need to open the floodgates. We have seen not only a loss of data, but also corruption of that data. We, as you, are concerned with the integrity of source code. If hackers made subtle, undetected changes to your code, they could have a permanent window into everything you do. And the same is true for those with access to hardware and software in the global supply chain.